Since our show deals with the service, I thought it might be interesting to take this time to discuss some of the history of our different military forces. Do you want to save your applause until the end? You do. Let's press on. First of all, I'd like to talk about the Army. The first United States Army was formed in the year 1498. It consisted of 11 men and 208 women. It wasn't a particularly effective army. However, it was a happy army. I think this is brought out in Colonel Fraser's handbook titled Fun in the Barracks. Also, just because this army was very small, they did win several major battles. However, a lot of times the giggling would give away their positions. There was no organized navy at this time. However, there were 6 guys in the Army who could float. I always throw that in for a change of pace. Now I'd like to talk about our Air Force. Our first Air Force was established in the year 1508. Unfortunately, there were no airplanes at this time. However, they didn't want to tell the cadets because they'd already hired the hall for the spring formal. They did have an extensive training program, though. They had a 100-foot tower. Now, the cadets would climb this 100-foot tower, strap a pair of wings to their arms, and then dive headfirst off the tower. The cadets learned one thing from this jump, that it was stupid. This is brought out in Cadet Morgan's book called Flying is for the Birds. He wrote this book following his first jump off the tower, and I think it's interesting to note that he typed the entire thing with his feet. Not so interesting. Now, let's talk about some of our early weapons. Here's an early weapon. This was the first weapon of the Army. It was called a gun. It worked very simply. You merely took it like this, threw it at the enemy, and yelled bang. Later, they devised a gun with a silencer. It worked the same way, only it didn't yell bang. Now let's talk about our rockets. This is the first American rocket. Correction, it's the second American rocket. The first one, an engineer took it home to work on it, and his dog buried it. They had trouble with the astronauts in some of the early launchings because the rockets were so small, the astronauts had to get on them instead of in them. And before they filed those points off, I guess it was pretty painful. Let's talk now about some of our spy equipment, part 1. What does this look like to you? Well, it looks like an ordinary 50-cent piece. However, it's our new secret camera. This camera is capable of taking 30 pictures and developing them instantly. So I'd like to show you how this works. If you'll all get together, I'll take your picture. It is easy to conceal, as you can see, because it... oh boy, this is an ordinary 50-cent piece. I must have given a waitress a camera for a tip. Well, anyway, in closing, I'd like to leave you with this thought. In order to obtain world peace and stop all the fighting, we've got to stop fighting so much.